I'm a fisherman and a hunter and outdoorsman, and it's quite inconvenient, for one thing, to have to wear glasses when you're hunting or fishing. But more importantly, as a broadcaster, I'm looking at play from 300 or 400 feet away. And it was very important for me not only to be able to distinguish the numbers and the jerseys on the ice, but then when I moved my head down to read my notes, I also had to have clear vision to see what I was reading in front of me.
I'm always out on the field with my kids, playing soccer, playing football. I'm out at the beach, going in the ocean now. And in just 2 months, I'm able to do all the things I could do before, except I don't have to worry about my contact lenses falling out of my eyes. I don't have to worry about debris getting in there and feeling uncomfortable and getting the redness and the dryness that I've been experiencing for so long.
And I can go fishing. I can see how to tie a knot to put the hook on and go fishing. And it has really been a positive experience for me, and I'd recommend it to anybody.
Many jobs and hobbies require excellent vision, and glasses and contact lenses can be a hindrance. Imagine being able to wake up and see the alarm clock and have your morning routine be just a little bit easier. Imagine not needing to have glasses to see the world more clearly. Imagine seeing distant faces on the beach, or playing golf, tennis, swimming, or skiing without the inconveniences of contact lenses or the constraints of wearing bulky glasses. Hello, I'm Dr. Corey Lesner, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for considering Millennium for your vision correction experience. We created this presentation to explain some of the basic principles of laser vision correction and to help you learn more about how these remarkable technologies are used to correct your sight. Over the course of the next 20 minutes, we will review how the eye works and why many require glasses and contact lenses to see clearly. I will describe how we determine who is a candidate and how laser treatments can be applied to the eye to correct visual errors. I will then provide you with an overview of the newer premium laser technologies and how they differ from traditional modes of correction. Finally, I will address some of the questions most commonly asked by patients looking into these options. The motivations for laser vision correction are countless and include things like the frustration of increased contact lens intolerance. You just can't wear them as long as you used to. Fear for personal or family safety in a crisis situation. You don't want to have to worry about not being able to see in the event of an emergency. And interference of contacts and glasses with jobs and hobbies. You don't get to enjoy them the way you wish you could. Whatever your unique motivations are, the one thing common to almost all is a sense of newfound freedom in life that they could have never imagined. For some, this is a world that is hard to imagine because rather than having glasses or contacts adjust to us, we simply have adjusted to living with them. As you watch this presentation, consider your own motivations to see more clearly. Imagine for yourself, what would life be like if you didn't have to wear glasses or contacts to see distant objects for the rest of your life? Just picture it in your own daily routine.
LASIK has changed my life because, first of all, it has sped up the timing that it takes for me to get ready in the morning and when I go to sleep at night, even though I was really bad about taking my lenses out when I did take them out. And also, I can be active and not worry about my eyes getting dry, or if I rub my eyes, I'm going to mess up my contact, or my contact is going to fall out in the water. One time I was snorkeling and water got into my mask and my lens fell out. It's just a whole nother experience. It's a whole new part of my life now that I don't have to wear contacts anymore.
Your eye is like a camera with a series of lenses in the front that serve to bring the object being viewed into focus. When light enters the eye, it is first bent or refracted by a clear, strong tissue at the surface called the cornea. It then passes through the lens of the eye to focus incoming light onto the retina, the film in the back of the eye. Refractive errors occur when the cornea and the lens do not clearly bring objects that are being viewed into focus. In nearsightedness or myopia, light entering the eye focuses images at a point in front of the retina. Nearsightedness is caused either by an eye that is too long or by a cornea that is too steep. The effect of nearsightedness is that distant objects appear blurry, while objects near to the viewer are in focus. Since the eye cannot be shortened, surgery to correct myopia is aimed at flattening the center of the cornea. In farsightedness or hyperopia, light entering the eye focuses behind the retina. Farsightedness is caused by an eye that is either too short or by a cornea that is too flat. The result of farsightedness is that objects near to the viewer appear blurry, while objects in the distance may be seen in focus. As time goes on, distance vision is typically affected as well. Surgery to correct hyperopia is therefore accomplished by making the central cornea steeper. In astigmatism, the problem is not the length of the eye, but the fact that the cornea is not spherical and contains different curvatures. To use an analogy, the cornea is shaped more like a football than a basketball. The resulting impact of astigmatism is that objects are not focused into a single image and vision is somewhat blurry or distorted at any distance. Astigmatism often occurs in combination with myopia or hyperopia. Finally, presbyopia, or the inability to see close-up objects when distance vision is corrected, becomes apparent to most people in their early 40s. This condition occurs as the natural lens inside the eye begins to crystallize and lose its ability to change shape to focus on near objects. Since the excimer laser only treats the surface tissue of the eye, it cannot be used to directly correct presbyopia, although, as I will discuss later in this presentation, it may be used to create useful reading vision in one eye, a strategy called monovision or modified monovision. About half of the world's population requires visual assistance to see clearly at a distance. For centuries, the only way to correct these vision problems was with eyeglasses, and more recently, contact lens technology. In the late 1980s, scientists were looking to lasers as an alternative to corrective eyewear. They focused on the excimer laser, designed by IBM in the early 70s to etch computer chips. Unlike other lasers that cause damage in adjacent structures, this cool beam of ultraviolet light works by breaking molecular bonds, vaporizing tissue a fraction of a micron at a time. In fact, the excimer is so accurate that it takes about 200 pulses from this laser just to etch through one strand of human hair. The first investigative procedures with the excimer laser in this country were conducted in 1988, and in 1995, the FDA had approved its use for the treatment of low to moderate myopia. Now, a little more than a decade later, with today's newer technologies, we are able to correct a broad range of nearsighted, farsighted, and astigmatic patients' vision with greater accuracy, safety, and speed than ever before. I will now review the different ways in which the excimer laser is used to correct your vision. There are two locations on the cornea that these treatments can be delivered to achieve their effect, on the surface or under a flap. Each treatment is based on many factors, along with that individual patient's prescription. Based on your history and the eye measurements obtained, we will be able to recommend whether reshaping the cornea on the surface or under a flap would be the best option for you. The original procedures approved by the FDA were performed on the surface of the eye and were called PRK, or photorefractive keratectomy. During PRK, the surface layer, or epithelium, is removed prior to treating with the laser. Several new variants of PRK, known as epi-LASIK or LASIK, differ only in their attempt to preserve the epithelium that is reflected back before the treatment. The laser treatment is then delivered to the exposed corneal surface, and the epithelium is repositioned at the end. For the purposes of this video, we will refer to all of these variants of surface treatment as PRK. In the early 90s, surgeons in Europe combined the accuracy of excimer laser sculpting with the comfort and rapid rehabilitation of a flap-creating procedure that originated in Colombia in the early 60s. When the laser is used to remove corneal tissue from its inner aspects after creating a flap, the procedure is called LASIK, or laser-assisted in situ keratomileusis. LASIK literally means to shape the cornea within using a laser. In this procedure, there are two steps. In the first, the eye surgeon creates a flap of corneal tissue approximately 1/3 of its overall thickness. This flap of tissue, which remains attached by a hinge, is then folded back. In the second step of LASIK, the excimer laser's cool light beam is used to gently remove the underlying tissue. Following the treatment, the flap is laid back and heals in place without the need for stitches. To illustrate the difference between these two strategies, consider the analogy of a 400-page book with 50-page thick front and back covers. In PRK, the cover of the book is first removed or folded back. The front pages of the book are in turn removed and the cover is allowed to grow back. With LASIK, the cover and the first 100 or so pages are folded back on the binding. The middle pages of the book are removed and the cover and front pages are put back in place. Both LASIK and PRK can correct nearsightedness, farsightedness, and astigmatism, and both ultimately achieve excellent results. However, for most surgeons and patients, LASIK has become the treatment of choice because it offers more rapid visual recovery than PRK, measured in hours rather than days, greater postoperative comfort, and statistically better visual outcomes. Until recently, the first step in LASIK, the creation of the flap, could only be accomplished with a bladed mechanical device called a microkeratome. It typically produced excellent results, but on rare occasions, the quality of the flap is inadequate to allow for the completion of treatment. Fortunately, an amazing laser technology called IntraLase eliminates this risk and makes the first step of LASIK even safer and more precise than ever before. During the IntraLase procedure, 60,000 pulses per second are delivered at a specific depth in the cornea, about 1/10 of a millimeter below the surface. Each of these pulses creates a microbubble with a byproduct of carbon dioxide and water. When close to 1 million of these bubbles are connected, a flap of incredibly precise, uniform thickness is created. There are some situations in which the use of IntraLase is clearly preferable to the microkeratome in patients looking into LASIK. Because IntraLase creates flaps that are thinner and smaller, it spares more of the sensory nerves in the cornea responsible for reflex tearing. This is an important consideration in patients who have been diagnosed with dry eye. IntraLase also places less pressure on your eye than the microkeratome. Aside from comfort considerations, this creates greater safety for patients who are glaucoma suspects. The introduction of IntraLase as a tool for refractive surgeons had another significant impact. Many patients who previously looked into LASIK were not candidates because their corneas were too thin to allow for complete correction of vision and maintain its structural stability. The tissue spared by IntraLase's thinner, more accurate flaps leaves as much as 4 extra diopters of tissue for the sculpting portion of the procedure. If you were told in the past that you were not a good candidate, you may now be an excellent candidate and may want to have these measurements rechecked. Finally, although LASIK has been performed safely for years, many potential candidates have been hesitant because a blade was used to create the corneal flap. If fear has been a major obstacle to your pursuit of laser vision correction, IntraLase should provide you the peace of mind needed to move forward with the procedure. At the time of your visit, you may notice that we have more than one laser platform available at the center. This is because, although they all use similar technologies to sculpt the cornea, lasers vary in their delivery systems, and we may feel that one is better suited for your particular prescription. Upon your arrival, one of our technicians will perform some simple measurements on your eyes, including an automated test to determine your approximate prescription, measurement of any eyeglasses that you may have, measurements of your pupil size under various light conditions, and obtain a sophisticated color map of the cornea. Because many of you have friends and colleagues that had LASIK and told you about how they achieved 20/20 or better vision overnight, it is worth noting here that, although amazing in its ability to achieve exceptional vision, you should think of laser vision correction as a process rather than as an event. Everyone responds slightly different to the laser energy. Although most patients are able to drive the very next day, vision may not seem optimal, may fluctuate, and in about 5 to 10% may require mild fine-tuning. Most patients whose vision is somewhat blurry in the days following their procedure go on to have excellent results days to weeks later. You should therefore go into the process with the mindset that you may require some fine-tuning, also known as an enhancement, in the future. These enhancements are usually quite easy to undergo and are even less common with the newer premium technologies that I will discuss shortly. This brings us to the discussion of premium excimer laser technologies and how they differ from the traditional modes of treatment discussed to this point. To begin with, some background on the diagnostic component known as wavefront is necessary. Wavefront was originally developed for use in high-power telescopes to reduce distortions in space. First, a narrow ray of eye-safe infrared laser light is passed into the eye and directed to the retina. The light is then reflected off the retina, passes back through the lens and cornea, where it is collected and analyzed for optical distortion and deviations from the ideal. The computer then creates a fingerprint of vision, a map of irregularities inherent and unique to your visual system. This technology uncovers specific characteristics of your optical system never measured before using standard methods for glasses and contacts. To create the treatment plan, your visual fingerprint is compared to an ideal wavefront map, and the computer designs a personalized treatment plan that is specific to your own visual needs. Wavefront technology is therefore groundbreaking because it has the potential to improve not only how much one can see in terms of visual testing on the eye chart, but also how well one can see in terms of visual quality. Treatment of visual nuances should translate into a reduced risk of post-LASIK side effects, such as glare, halos, and difficulty with night vision. And this is exactly what happened. With the acquisition of custom LASIK technology at our center in the summer of 2003, we began to observe a statistically significant improvement in our patients' visual outcomes when compared with traditional treatments. About 6 months following the introduction of custom technology in the U.S., the FDA granted approval to an even newer generation laser system called the Allegretto. Produced by Wavelight AG of Germany, it also employs wavefront technology in its treatment planning and has one of the fastest delivery systems available in the world. In December of 2003, Millennium became the first center in the United States outside of the 10-center investigational group to obtain this amazing device. At that time, custom treatments were only approved and available for use in low to moderate myopia. Our acquisition of the Allegretto gave us the ability to treat higher myopes, hyperopes, and patients with astigmatism with this new device that promised to deliver custom-like outcomes. The results in patient satisfaction levels were amazing. And then something curious was observed. When we analyzed the outcome data of several hundred patients with low to moderate myopia treated on the Allegretto system, we noticed that the outcomes were even slightly better than those in our custom LASIK group. With its smaller beam profile, more laser pulses are required to sculpt the tissue for any given treatment. However, it operates 3 to 10 times faster and more efficiently than any other laser available in the US, treating up to 1 diopter of prescription every 4 seconds. This rapid treatment delivery, guided by its incredibly precise active eye tracking system, translates into tighter control of corneal hydration in our environmentally controlled laser suites. This in turn improves the accuracy and predictability of outcomes. The wavefront optimized Allegretto laser also effectively treats patients with larger pupils. Its larger diameter treatments cover the pupil better and help to minimize glare, halos, and other night vision problems that some patients treated with traditional LASIK experience. The larger diameter treatments of the Allegretto also seem to produce better visual outcomes, and in retrospect may be one reason why custom LASIK treatment outcomes were better than the smaller zone treatment capabilities of traditional LASIK. While wavefront guided procedures may be invaluable to those patients with very small prescriptions who are bothered by more subtle visual irregularities, closer analysis of custom treatments show that very little customization is taking place in patients with higher prescriptions, where nuances of vision are not the main problem. At Millennium, we are committed to staying ahead of the curve by investing in technologies that will provide you the best visual outcomes possible. Since the introduction of custom and the Allegretto at our center, we've seen our treatment results and levels of patient satisfaction improve to levels that would have just a few years ago seemed unimaginable. In the past, we were happy if our patients could see as well or almost as well as they did with corrective eyewear prior to their procedure. Now, with the use of these premium technologies, more than 50% of the patients report to us by the very next day that their vision is already better than it ever was with glasses or contact lenses. Although we have both custom and traditional LASIK and microkeratome capabilities available at our center, currently the speed and accuracy of the Allegretto, in combination with the safety of interlays for flap creation, is our primary treatment of choice. During your consultation, we would be more than happy to share our outcome statistics with you for patients with similar prescriptions treated on these different laser platforms to help you to better understand our recommendation if you feel that this information will be helpful in your decision-making process. These statistics will also give you an indication of your likelihood of requiring an enhancement in the months following your treatment. I would like to add one final comment before leaving this segment. With so many technology options available, it would be easy to feel confused by trying to decide which option you would like to move forward with. The decision in your mind should simply be, do I want to reduce my dependence on contacts and glasses? Our dedicated team will recommend the safest procedure with the best possible visual outcomes.
There are a number of people like me who only need reading glasses, who don't understand that you can have a correction for both the distance and reading without compromising the distance. For example, my distance is still 20/20, believe it or not. So what he's going to do is give me the ability to read with this eye, keep the distance here, your eyes work together, they adjust. And because my problem is my teleprompter it's at a distance, so it's not a problem. It's where that third chair is. So, but if someone gives me a script, or a newspaper without glasses, yeah, and it's right. I used to be able to push it across the desk. Now my arm's not long enough.
As previously discussed, presbyopia, or the diminishing ability to see up close as we age, has more to do with the lens inside our eye losing its ability to focus and change shape. By leaving or creating nearsightedness in one eye, we were able to restore some reading vision for patients who are able to tolerate this strategy. One can only know if some degree of monovision will work for them through a demonstration. A complete trial of monovision is typically performed in patients at the time of their exam, but we will also demonstrate it as needed at the time of your consultation.
I've done a lot of research into LASIK eye surgery, looking at costs, looking at facilities, looking at technology. Although Millennium is not one of the cheaper facilities out there, it's well worth the price that I paid. I would actually, knowing now what I went through and what the procedure is like and what the benefits I received from it, I would probably pay double because it's immeasurable what the benefits I've received.
I did have in the back of my mind that I was going to go to other places to get different quotes and price quotes, but honestly, when I came to Millennium, I didn't want to go anywhere else because I was treated so well here. All my questions and concerns were answered right away, and I felt so comfortable that before the surgery and after the surgery, I had a support group right here that I could come to anytime.
I don't envy the consumer looking into laser vision correction today, since I would probably be extremely confused by the wide range of fees associated with these procedures. Some centers offering quotes as low as $2.99 per eye. Consumers have begun to catch on to the fact that fees are never really this low, and more importantly, that this is not merely a commodity. Many people, though, still struggle to justify the cost of the LASIK procedure. Let me point out some information that may make this decision easier. If you're a contact lens wearer, the average monthly cost for contact lenses and supplies is between $35 and $50 a month. This represents an annual cost of roughly $500. Since most patients will also require a backup pair of glasses every 12 to 24 months, one has typically spent about $4,000 on optical wear over the past 5 years and will have similar costs to look forward to over the next 5. In effect, you're already perpetually financing your vision correction needs. The effects of LASIK will last a lifetime, making your investment well worthwhile. I hope that this presentation has been both educational and informative. At Millennium, laser vision correction is viewed as an art form. I've hand-selected an experienced team of individuals who are constantly striving to provide the finest in all aspects of your experience, including excellent service, unsurpassed expertise, and superior technology. I am also one of only a few surgeons in the country whose practice is limited to laser vision correction procedures. In performing your due diligence, we hope that our efforts in guiding you through this process will allow you to see the value in making an investment in yourself and your sight through these life-changing procedures.
LASIK has changed my life tremendously. It's amazing to be able to wake up in the morning and actually see. And the way I explain it to everybody is I tell them it's a miracle, but just because I've worn contacts and glasses for so long and I could not see at all, you know, everything was a big blur, to actually wake up. Like, for instance, when I first got back from the surgery and I took a nap, and to wake up and actually see the TV from across the room, you know, with my own eyes, it was a miracle.
We know that your eyes are precious, and we look forward to providing you with a level of care and service that exceeds your expectations. Life wasn't meant to be viewed through a piece of glass or plastic. Life is about freedom. Instead of watching the world go by, be a part of it. On behalf of the entire staff at Millennium Laser Eye Centers, we look forward to working with you.